2, does my child have ADHD? What's up, parents and teachers? This is the second video where I'm going to talk about, does your child or does the student that you are concerned about have ADHD? In the first video, I went through the DSM-5 and some of the important the way that they break down ADHD in this book. This book is used for people to diagnose ADHD, among many, 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 many other things. It's a very long 900-page book here. But we are worried about, does the student have ADHD? So I told you in the last video that in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you know how this book articulates some of the symptoms. So basically in here, what we're looking at on the ADHD page here is it has a list of symptoms here. The first page has a list of symptoms associated with inattention, and the second page has list of symptoms associated with hyperactivity. First, I'm going to go through inattention. So basically what we want to know is here at the beginning, it says we have a persistent, if we're diagnosing, and which I do not do, and you as the parent do not do, and you as the teacher do not do. A professional who diagnoses professionally does it. However, this book is a great reference for us to look at what they are going to be looking at. So, is there a persistent pattern of inattention and or hyperactivity, impulsivity that interferes with functioning or development as characterized by inattention? And here's what it says about inattention. Are there 6 or more? So if you're taking notes here, are there 6 or more of the following symptoms that have persisted for at least 6 months to a degree that is inconsistent with the developmental level, so that is different from their peers, and that negatively impacts directly on social or academic and occupational activities? So when you're listening to these symptoms here, have they persisted for at least 6 months? Are they not common or typical as compared with their peers? And does it negatively impact their life? Note, this is very important. The symptoms are not solely a manifestation of oppositional behavior, defiance, hostility, or failure to understand tasks or instructions. For older adolescents, age 17 and older, at least 5 of these symptoms are required. So I think it's really important that they note here that these symptoms aren't just a manifestation of oppositional behavior, defiance, and hostility, or failure to understand directions. So we have a lot of situations where there's a lot of misunderstanding. We need to be very clear about what's going on here. Here we go. Now we're getting to the good part. These are the symptoms. This is what we're looking. Are there 6 or more of these? Often fails to give close attention to details or makes careless mistakes in schoolwork, at work, or during other activities. Like they overlook details, they miss details, work is inaccurate. Number 2. Often has difficulty sustaining attention in tasks or play activities, such as has difficulty remaining focused during lectures, conversations, or lengthy reading. 3, often does not seem to listen when spoken to directly. Their mind seems elsewhere, even in the absence of any obvious distractions. 4, often does not follow through on instructions and fails to finish schoolwork, chores, or duties in the workplace. They start tasks but quickly lose focus and are easily sidetracked. 5, often has difficulty organizing tasks and activities, difficulty managing sequential tasks, difficulty keeping materials and belongings in order, messy, disorganized work, has poor time management, fails to meet deadlines. 6, often avoids, dislikes, or is reluctant to engage in tasks that require sustained mental effort, schoolwork or homework for older adolescents, preparing reports, completing forms, reviewing lengthy papers. Next, often loses things necessary for tasks or activities, school materials, pencils, books, tools, wallets, keys, paperwork, eyeglasses, mobile phones. Next, is often easily distracted by extraneous stimuli. For older adolescents and adults may include unrelated thoughts, So they move the stimuli to even their own thoughts. And next is often forgetful in daily activities, forgets doing chores, running errands, returning calls, paying bills, keeping appointments. And that is it. That's all they list. And they say if you have 6 or more of those, then that would be inattentive. Now we are dealing with ADHD, attention deficit slash hyperactivity disorder. Okay. So not everybody has the hyperactivity. Next section is all about hyperactivity. What's interesting is how they define hyperactivity. So listen carefully. These are the things for what is hyperactivity. I'm going to go through those now. Again, they are looking for 6 or more. 1, often fidgets with or taps hands or feet or squirms in their seat. 2, often leaves seat in situations when remaining seated is expected. Leaves his or her place in the classroom, in the office, or other workplace, and other situations that require remaining in place. Often runs about or climbs in situations where it is inappropriate. Often unable to play or engage in leisure activities quietly. Is often, quote, on the go, acting as if, quote, driven by a motor. Is unable to be or uncomfortable being still for an extended time, is in restaurants, meetings, may be experienced by others as being restless or difficult to keep up with. Often talks excessively, often blurts out the answer before a question has been completed, completes other people's sentences, cannot wait for their turn in a conversation. Next. Often has difficulty waiting their turn, like while in line. Next. Often interrupts or intrudes on others, butts into conversations, games, activities, may start using other people's things without asking or receiving permission. For adolescents and adults, may intrude into or take over what others are doing. Now, I want to be very clear when we are looking at these things. So first of all, if you were making little checks on a piece of paper as you're watching, you probably know if your child or the student you're thinking about has ADHD. Again, you need to get a diagnosis by a professional, not by me, not by you. This is done by professionals. But the thing I want to mention is I don't want to leave this conversation without making it extraordinarily clear at this point. These things are not bad. These are not misbehaving humans, bad people, kids who just don't care, kids who just don't try enough. I'm so sick and tired of all the shame out there, and as I'm sure you are if you're watching this video, and if you follow me, you know my stance on this. The point is, these are not bad. And the point is that what we ultimately want, whether there's a formal diagnosis or not, whether the kid struggles with executive function, whatever's going on, what we want for these kids is that they have the tools and the skills to be able to create a good future for themselves. And when we have legitimate executive function challenges, it is a quality of life issue. It can negatively impact somebody's quality of life. When they get older, it can impact their relationships, it can impact their career, it can impact how they feel about themselves, it can impact their health, it can impact their finances, it can impact their quality of life. And we want to give our kids everything that they need to have the opportunity to have a good quality of life. So we need to be addressing these executive function issues sanely, mindfully, carefully, thoughtfully, conscientiously, and take the decisions that we make very seriously about this. Anyhow, again, my name is Seth with SethPerler.com. I'm an executive function coach at Colorado. Give me a thumbs up if you like this, please. Leave a comment if you want to say anything about this video. And subscribe on my website and support my work. My work is dedicated to helping struggling students navigate life in school. Remember, this book is a guide. It is a lot of the the revisions are driven by the pharmaceutical industries. You have to take this stuff with a grain of salt. You have to take any decisions based on any decisions around how to medicate and things like that. I do have a video about medication as well in my blog. But anyhow, I am so grateful to you, the parent or the teacher, whoever's watching us, that you are taking the time to learn this stuff in the service of kids, that you are taking energy to do this for the kids that you care about. So again, you can grab this book at the library. You can get it online. It's a very expensive book. See my previous video about this to learn more about it. But just to sit down and soak in that, whatever it was, 10 pages or so about ADHD will help you help the kids that you are trying to serve. So this is how people diagnose, this book. So anyhow, I'm going to take off. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.